Hello everyone and welcome back to the video. In today's video, we're going to be going over every single player that has won a C tier or more in Smash Ultimate, at least in the year 2023. As you can see, these are all the characters that have won C tiers, and these are all the characters that have not won C tiers, and we also have all of the players that have actually collected those wins. So we'll be spending a majority of the time on this video on this part of the list, just because we get to see more of the details, but I do very briefly want to go over the has not tier. But before we do anything, I have to give a huge shout out to EAZYFREEZIE. He made all of this, just does a bunch of amazing work on both YouTube and Twitter, so I highly recommend that you go follow him. His link will be down below, but let's get right into it. Now, briefly looking at the characters that have not won a C tier, most of these characters you would expect to see on this side of the list. You got Duck Hunt, Ganon, Little Mac. These characters do have top reps, but it's just very difficult to take them to the deepest parts of the tournament, especially to close it out. I think the two biggest exceptions are definitely going to be ZSS and B-Brawler. B-Brawler not having a super top rep right now at the top level, which hopefully that will change because this character is top 20. And then Zero obviously your main rep in Mars, has not been competing a ton this season, but I imagine if Mars went to a C tier or B tier event, he would probably win it. So if he does make a return to competitive Smash, I could definitely see Zero getting on there. There's a couple other characters on here, even though I don't think they're good, I could definitely see people winning stuff. Hero is also an exception. I think Hero is actually pretty decent. I could see Akko winning something. I could see Lax winning something with Chrom. I could see Senra or Base Mage winning something with Jigglypuff. I could see Big Duck Hunt fan winning something with Duck Hunt, to be honest. There's a lot of characters here that have reps that can win these C tier events, but it's just going to be very, very difficult because most of these characters are just kind of mid. And before we move on to who's actually winning these events in terms of the players, I want to highlight that only 5 characters in this game have double-digit wins at C-tier events, which I think is pretty interesting. But now, let's move on to the players, starting off with Bayonetta. Obviously, Bloom Forever is going to be your frontrunner here. He has been extremely dominant in Europe, and even though Europe is a region that hasn't had too many major events, they have a lot of regional events. Pretty much every single weekend, there's a regional event in Europe, or multiple regional events in Europe, and Bloom Forever is clearly collecting some dubs in those. Lima as well, picking up a win, and I could see more Bayo players getting wins in the future. I could see Tama P probably being the next Bayonetta player, pick something up. Frog's very good, Death Spade's very good, Geist is very good. There are so many amazing Bayo players that I wouldn't be surprised if they won a C tier event. You're gonna have Makuro being the only Bowser win. Now, I could see Leon winning a C tier. I could definitely see Hito winning a C tier event, but to be fair, Japan, you don't really have a lot of C tier events. Most of their events are going to be B tier or at the major level just because of how compact the region is as a whole, so maybe that's why Hito is struggling a little bit more to get one of those dubs. He also just probably isn't going to as many C tier events, and as I already mentioned, Europe is a region that has a lot of those. Then you're gonna have Violet, surprisingly, MKLeo only winning one event with Violet. That was gonna be Wave Dash, by the way. You're gonna have Calva Flow also winning an event, and Sparko winning an event. So all these players tied for the best Violet in the world, technically. You're gonna have Jogabu as well, being the only Falcon winner. Not really a surprise to me. There's a lot of good Falcon players out there right now. There's Andric, there's Karage, there's Sean when he still competes. I think Fatality is retired now, but Jogabu is definitely the best Falcon. I mean, the results are gonna agree with me. For Cloud, obviously, Spargo is going to be your frontrunner. A majority of these wins are coming at major events as well. Dura picking up a nice win in Australia, one of the best Clouds in Australia, and Sue picking up a win in Japan, which was kind of shocking to me. I would have still expected Sue to be on there for maybe Terry or Lucario, but his Cloud has definitely been putting in a majority of the work as of late. I also want to shout out that Cloud is a character that I think is going to get better in the player base. Obviously, you have Spargo super carrying it, but I think Enhanced PV is an up-and-comer that could do some damage. I think Yoshi's really good. I think if Dura gets to travel more, he's going to be getting higher placements in these events. So Cloud, even though you are seeing a lot of Cloud at the top level, that's just Spargo, I think you're going to start seeing more Cloud players start rising up the ranks. Neo as well being the only 2 Corrin wins. Now, there's other good Corrin players. You do have MKLeo technically winning Wave Dash with the character, but he only used it versus Sonic, so I can't understand why it is not on the list. And then Shattuck as well hasn't been amazing in 2023, though he did look incredible at SmashCon, so I wouldn't be surprised if he added a couple wins to this list by the end of the year. Tweak carrying Diddy Kong, this makes a lot of sense. There's a handful of Japanese Diddy Kong players I'm surprised didn't pick up a win yet, but Tweak having 3, I mean, that's expected. Tsubaki actually being the only Donkey Kong player on here. I don't know what the story is behind that, but big ups to Tsubaki for that. That's a nice win. Jazdar, or Hazar, I believe is how you say it, actually picking up a win with Dr. Mario, which is super impressive. That character is obviously very, very bad. So if you can win a local with Dr. Mario, I'm pretty impressed. But if you can win a C tier or even a B tier, that's pretty insane. Now for Falco, you're actually going to have both Matsunabe and Tilde missing out on this list. I would have Tilde as the best Falco right now just because his placement at Gommel is incredible. But Garu, Masa, and Wolf, and Masa also has a very strong argument for best Falco as well. All getting some nice wins, so big ups to those players. You're going to have Light being the sole rep for Fox. Now there are other Fox players that can win events. I think Passeriman can win events. I think Kananabe can win events. But Light is definitely going to be the main rep of the character, so it's not a surprise to see him carrying Fox. You're going to have Tarek as well being the sole rep of Greninja. Also not incredibly surprising. I'd say the best rep of Greninja before Tarek started farming was Leah, but now he doesn't play, or at least doesn't play Greninja a ton, so Tarek is going to be your sole rep. Big D getting the only Ice Climber win. Also not super surprising. There are other good Ice Climber players that have made decent runs this year. Harrison and Futari are very good players, but it's extremely difficult to win a tournament with Ice Climbers because if you get one or even two bad matchups, you just kind of lose. But Big D doesn't really care about those bad matchups, so he's going to have that nice little win there. SkyJ on 9, I mean, no one is surprised here. SkyJ is absolutely farming C-tier events in Mexico. Like, he wins them a lot, not just in Mexico as well. He's just been winning a lot of these smaller events, as well as having some amazing performances at the major level. So, not really a shocker that SkyJ not only has 9 wins, but is also the only Incineroar player on the list. Editing proof block here. I do want to say that Leah has still been somewhat active this year. He does have 4 events under his belt, and he does still play Greninja, though he does have a Sora secondary now, so it's not entirely Greninja anymore. And also, I forgot to mention that JW is another really good Greninja rep that isn't super active right now, so those are things to note for Greninja. For Inkling, you're going to have Space as the only rep. This isn't incredibly surprising, even though there are a bunch of very strong Inkling players. I think Shiryuki's really good. I think Showers is really good. I think Colorando's really good. It's just really hard to win an event with Inkling because this character just isn't very good. You do have Space as well. The event that he won, I believe, was Smash Contest Tokimi, and he did use Aegis at that event, so that is something to know, but still, being the sole rep of Inkling, got to be feeling pretty good about that. You're going to have Jaka as well being the sole Isabel rep, and there's other good Isabel players out there, like Mr. Zircon, I think is a pretty good one, but Jaka, I would definitely say, is the best Isabel. I mean, he has the only win here, so I feel like I'm pretty confident in saying that. You're going to have Joker players, a lot of them, but they all only have one event win. Lemon, MK Leo, Raven King, Shaka, and Tsubaki. It's kind of crazy that all these players are tied for the best Joker in the world. Also, MK Leo only winning 2 C-tier events or higher this year, but also one of them was Genesis, so I feel like we can kind of give him some credit for that. You're going to have Wolfman actually winning the most events with Kazuya, though Riddles is definitely still the best Kazuya because, you know, he picked up wins at major events. You're going to have Tarek, T, and Yorbro all getting reps as well. You're going to have Takara being the sole rep of Ken. It's not insanely surprising because there are other good Ken players, but I feel like for the most part, when people are playing FGC characters at the top level, they're going to be playing Ryu or Kazuya or Terry. Takara, though, definitely the best Ken in the world. I mean, he was ranked top 50 with the character, and he is going to have the most wins. You're going to have Regalo as well. I feel like this kind of gives him the title of the best Lucas because Shaco Talk is really good, Nighthawks is really good, but none of them were able to close out the dub like Regalo was, so big ups to him for that. You're going to have Leon and Mr. E being the only winners for Lucina. Now, normally you would have Proto Bonham on this list, but he wasn't active this year, so he was not on it. You're going to have Luigi being won by Waka, and then Luigi and Vi also taking the event. Now, I would still say that Luigi is the best Luigi in the world just because his results at the major level are extremely impressive, but maybe if Waka was just able to go to more events, we could see him being ranked above Luigi. Clearly a very impressive play. I mean, to close out 3 events to Luigi is especially hard. I kind of already mentioned that with Big D, but it's very difficult to make runs with these characters that have some extremely polarizing matchups, and Luigi definitely one of those characters. You're gonna have Peppa actually being the sole rep of Mario, so no Now, no Snow, no Chroma. Peppa actually the best Mario in the world. I don't make the rules. You're gonna have Peanut being the best Mega Man. I would definitely say that Peanut is the best Mega Man. Kameme's Mega Man's still very good. Repo's very good. MPG's really good, but Peanut, he just feels different with this character, and he was also the only player that was able to close out a W. Metara is going to be your sole Meta Knight rep, and I mean, what a year he's had. He was able to get that win at Ryubora Part 2, I believe, as well as beating Mia at Kagura 10, which is one of the biggest upsets of the year. Now, for other Meta Knight players I could see making this list, I think Bonk has a chance. I think Abadongo could do it. MK Leo, if he actually tryhards with the character. I think Ye is probably going to be the front runner. Show as well, another strong runner, but as of right now, Metara, the only one that was able to collect it up, and I would say that he is the best Meta Knight in the world right now because, you know, he won Ryubora, he beat Mia, he's had other good placements, and overall has just had an amazing year, so big ups to him. For Min, again, you would usually see Proto Bonham on the list, maybe Justice as well, but Omatsu and Zerxel are going to be your only players getting results this time around, so big ups to them. Then we're going to go all the way to the top. You're going to see, obviously, Mia dominating with Game & Watch. She's also the player that has won the most C-tier events or higher this year, even more than Akla, because Akla is at 10 spoilers, so big ups to him for that. And then Meister collecting 2 wins as well, even though Mia is definitely the best Game & Watch in the world. Meister definitely still can hang with the top of your. Actually, going to have Pellon being the only Nest player to collect a win, and there's a lot of good goodness players. There's Sen, there's Syrup, even though Syrup's kind of Steve now. There's Gact obviously being incredible, so huge ups to PLLLLEASE for that. You're going to have Olimar actually only winning 2 events between Dabuz and Shuten. Now, you did have Myron pretty much retiring this year, which is definitely going to hurt for the character, but there's like 30 Olimar players in Japan that could do it. I could just see Dabuz and Shuten winning more events, so I feel like by the end of the year, Olimar's a character that we'll definitely see having more wins under his belt. You're actually going to have Mozai as the solo rep for Pac-Man. T's year hasn't been incredible, but also to T's credit, most of the time that he's actually been going to events, they've been like these super major events, incredibly difficult to win. So he's still getting decent placements at those, but he's not quite closing any of them out. For Palutena, you're going to have Chag, Jagaimo, Luis, and Raffalo. So you're not going to have any Chase on this list, which is fairly surprising. A lot of people regarding Chase as the best Palutena player in the world right now. And obviously, winning an event doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be the best, because Chag has 3 event wins. And I think a lot of people kind of forgot about Chag in the best Palutena discussion. This guy is still extremely talented, and then Jagaimo, I would say, is the best Palutena in the world right now. And I mean, the Lumi rank has him as the best as well, so I feel like that is a fairly safe take. Also closing out on 3 events, you're going to have Luis, who is a regional monster. I really need to see him translate that to the major level because he looked insane at regional events. And Raffalo as well. Hasn't been super active this year, but still was able to get that dub. You're going to have Mutes being the ringleader for Peach, which isn't super surprising. I mean, he is such a talented player. When he doesn't bomb out of a bracket, it feels like he's pretty much just going to win it. You also have Umeki and Link collecting wins as well. You're going to have Black Twins as the only Pichu rep. Now, this isn't insanely surprising, especially considering that Niatoto, who was probably the best Pichu player in the world, switched off from Pichu to Diddy Kong this year. Not solo Diddy Kong, but mainly Diddy Kong. So Black Twins going to be the final bastion of the Pichu players. H4 is going to be your sole Pikachu rep. Now, I would still say that Shadow Mark is the best Pikachu in the world, but H4's win at Sumabato was extremely impressive. It's not often that an American player can actually win a Japanese event or even do well at a Japanese event, so big ups to H4 for that. You're going to have Lucky with his win at Warp Zone 2, which was insane. I don't know how he did that with Piranha Plant. For Pit, you're actually going to have Bloom Forever and Silver being your top reps. Now, obviously, Zachary is 100% the best Pit player in the world, but also he only goes to like these super mega major events, so he hasn't been able to collect any wins yet. But big ups to Silver and Bloom Forever as well for actually getting the win with Pit, because I still think this character isn't super great. You're gonna have Quid being the only PT rep. Not super surprised that this character is unfortunately not super popular at the top level. I could see Noi collecting some wins, and also if Quid went to more events, he would definitely have more wins, but he hasn't, so he's only got 3, which is still very nice. You're gonna have Shootone with 3 for Aegis, as well as Cloudy Space and Sparkle all collecting 1. And Aegis is a character that is definitely going to get more wins as the year continues, whether it be through Shootone, whether it be through Sparkle, whether it be through either Cloudy or Space, or just some other Aegis player, because there's a lot of amazing Aegis players at the top level. She's a popular character. It makes sense a lot of people are winning with her. You're going to have Mezcal as our sole Ridley left, winning not 1 but 2 events, which is just insane to me because Ridley is not a character that should be winning stuff. For Rob, you're obviously going to have Zomba as your leader, but Yoko, Anathema, and MK Big Boss, no surprise that any of those players picked up wins. I think Rob is a character that's definitely going to get more wins as they go on to the year, maybe even a couple more players being added to this list. You're going to have Morocco Yo carrying Robin results, which is no surprise to me at all. He is absolutely farming Venezuela. I really need to see this guy travel. Dabuz as well. I mean, being the really only rep with Rosalina. There are other good Rosalina players out there. Don't get me wrong. There's Yuzu, there's Solo. They are not even close to the level of Dabuz, and no one will be to the level of Dabuz. I don't know how he is so good at this character. It was literally made for him. Dabuz, he is absolutely carrying the Rosa results, and I don't think that's ever going to change. You're going to have both Cola and Smock being tied for the best Roy. Obviously, Cola taking a bit of a step back this year, so the results are going to be a little bit lesser. I could see Goblin being added to the list as well. Maybe Hikaru potentially, but I think Hikaru is taking a step back from competing as well right now, so I don't really know about that. But big ups to Smock as well for being able to collect a win. Smock, definitely a very good player from Canada right now. I think Canada as a region has a lot of hidden talent that is starting to come out of the shadows. Smock definitely being one of those players. You're actually going to have Aiken as the sole Ryu rep this year. Osimo not able to close out any events. He got pretty close even at the major level. He almost won Altcore. He almost won Kagurumi 9, but he just couldn't get there. And Aiken was able to close one out, so big ups to him for that. You're going to have Samus obviously being a popular character. Siski, Yara, Icy Mist, and Eric42 all picking up wins, all from different regions as well, which I think is very cool. And Samus is the character I could see like 30 more people being added to this list because she's just very popular. Strix being the only Sephiroth rep isn't insanely surprising. Ned hasn't been doing as well in 2023. Ken hasn't been able to win anything this year, and when Tweak does win things, it's pretty much solo Diddy Kong. So Strix, only Sephiroth, makes sense. For Sheik, you're going to have I'm and Rox being your only winners. I could see Mr. R winning an event. I could see Sylph winning an event. WebJP will win an event soon. Void, if he starts competing super seriously again, maybe a front runner, but these are your top 2 Sheiks in the world right now. I would say I'm is still the best Sheik, but Rox looked very impressive at the major events we were able to see him at, which is pretty hype. Now for Shulk, Akio, and Nico are going to be your only 2 reps, so no Kome, which I was very surprised by, no Jared is King, no Ramses, all those are very good Shulk players, but they were not able to close out those events, so big ups to the Shulk players that were able to do that. You're going to have Snake, popular character, makes sense, Hurt, Apollo Kage, Dio, and Kanaji. I could see Kronos being added to this list, I could see MBD being added to this list, I could see Ike being added to this list. There are so many amazing Snake players, so no surprise that a lot of them are able to get wins. What is a little bit surprising, though, is that Sonic's being the only Sonic player to close an event this year, at least in the C tier higher. And all I gotta say about that is other Sonic players, you guys are bad because this character is really, really good. And there are other good Sonic players out there that I could see winning events in the second half of the year. I could see Wrath doing it. I could see Ken doing it. Honestly, surprised that he hasn't. I could see Pele doing it. I could see Takai doing it. There are so many amazing Sonic players. But to be fair, Sonic is definitely the best Sonic in the world in pretty much every aspect. And the results are going to be showing that. You're going to have Kameme as the sole rep for Sora. No surprise there. He's the only one piloting this character at the top level, which I think will change too. I think Death Spade's really good. I think Unleashed is really, really good. I think Ferps has been playing a ton of Sora, so if he gets to travel more, we get to see that combination of Sora, Kazuya potentially, which I'm very excited for because both characters are just going to be killing you in one hit, but Kameme being the sole rep for Sora, not shocking. Now, Steve is going to be your character with the most event wins, which is no surprise at all. He's probably the most popular character at the top level. He's the best character in the game, and you're the best player in the world playing him. And Akila wins a lot of events, got 10 under his belt. You also have Pocket, who is also known as Onin, with 5 events under his belt. You got Romeo Santos winning 2 events, and then everyone else is just going to be able to collect 1. I think if Didi was able to go to more stuff, we'd see him winning a lot more stuff, especially considering that he does have a lot of secondary characters that can help out in those Steve bad matchups. But Steve being the most popular character, I mean, pretty much everyone saw that coming. You're going to have Andres FN actually being the most winner with Terry, and also Miles and Riddles picking up a dub. I could see Aegis being added to this list as well, or Easy Yes, because he is insanely good. But Andres FN having the most Terry wins honestly isn't super surprising to me because Riddles was definitely playing a lot more Kazuya throughout this year, kind of switching a little bit more to Terry towards the latter half. But Andres FN has been Terry through and through, and obviously it's gotten him some pretty nice results. Level 1 was able to pick up his win recently at Toyota Grand Slam 15, and honestly, he's been looking phenomenal as of late. I've been very impressed by Level 1. Definitely the best Toon Link player in the world right now, so very curious to see if he's able to pick up more wins, and honestly, I'm leaning towards yes. Glutony as well has really reclaimed his title as the best player in Europe this past year. He was struggling a lot in 2022. He was losing to Pele, he was losing to Bloom, he was losing to Lugi. He's still sometimes losing to those players, especially Bloom, but he's definitely made a lot of adaptation and is a lot more solid versus those players. Overall, been able to collect a bunch of dubs. Him being the solo warrior as well, not super surprising. I can see Loaf getting on this list. I can see maybe Huto getting on this list, but Glutony, definitely the best warrior rep in the world. You're going to have Injelly, who I would say is the best Wii Fit. I think Varun's really good. I think John Numbers is really good, but they haven't been able to close out an event like Injelly has. I believe it was Sumobato SB33, but don't quote me on that. You're going to have Ouch being the top rep with Wolf. Makes a ton of sense. I mean, if you look at his Lumi rank stuff, he just wins a bunch of C tier events. Atorie, Masha, and Orion all also picking up wins. Jackal is definitely a player that will be added to this list at some point. He just hasn't been able to get a win this year, but I can guarantee you that Jackal's going to get on this list because that guy is goated. You're going to have Yoshidora and Ron being our reps for Yoshi. You got the OG Yoshi on there from Japan, and you got the New Age Yoshi from Japan. So super sick to see both of them still having nice results. I think Mame is a player that I could also see being added to this list if he was able to go to more events, but he hasn't been able to so far this year, so he's not on the list. Simple as that. And finally, you're going to have Kobe being the only Young Link player to win an event, which is pretty surprising to me because Toast is really good, and Suinoko is really good, and Skittles is really good, and I could go on and on and on. Jada's will just add another one. Obviously, Young Link, a very popular character at the top level, but Kobe being the only one able to close out an event. I believe it was at Cirque du CFL, so big ups to him for that. And I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Again, another huge shout out to EAZYFREEZIE for making this. He just does so much cool stuff in the Smash scene. Again, all of this stuff will be down below. I highly recommend that you follow him. And yeah, that's all I got to say. The support has been absolutely unreal. If there's anything that I got wrong in this video or anything that I left out, please just let me know down below. Be sure to sub, all that yada yada, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.